You already know this painting. The birth of Venus is one of the most reproduced images in human history, and almost everyone who knows it has heard the same story attached to it, that the woman in this painting was real, that Botticelli was secretly, hopelessly in love with her, that she died young, and he spent the rest of his life painting her face into goddess after goddess and asked to be buried at her feet. It's one of the most romantic stories in the history of art. There's just one problem. Almost none of it is supported by the evidence, and most of it was essentially invented by one specific person, centuries after Botticelli died. I'll tell you who invented it and why it worked so well that it's still repeated as fact today. But to understand how a made-up love story took over one of the most famous paintings on earth, you first need to meet the woman it's all supposedly about. Her name was Simonetta Vespucci, and she was real. That part is true. She was born around 1453 into a noble Genoese family, the Cataneo. At about 15 or 16, she married Marco Vespucci, whose family was wealthy and closely tied to the Medici, and she moved to Florence. Florence was captivated by her. Poets wrote about her. The court poet Poliziano called her the unparalleled one. By contemporary accounts, she was considered the most beautiful woman in the city, and one man in particular pursued her publicly, Giuliano de' Medici, the younger brother of Lorenzo the Magnificent, the ruler of Florence. In 1475, Giuliano rode into a jousting tournament carrying a banner with Simonetta's image painted on it, and that banner was painted by Botticelli. So there is a real documented connection here. Botticelli painted Simonetta's likeness at least once for Giuliano as a public tribute. That single fact, Botticelli's brush, Simonetta's face, Giuliano's banner, is the seed the entire later legend grew from. Because a year after that tournament, Simonetta was dead, and what the world would later build on top of that death is where the real mystery begins. But first, how she died is itself still argued about. On the night of the 26th of April, 1476, Simonetta Vespucci died. She was 22 years old. For centuries, the cause was assumed to be tuberculosis. But in 2019, a team of medical historians studied the descriptions of her final days, the collapse at a ball, the headaches, the fever, the hallucinations, and argued she may have died from a pituitary tumour instead. We still don't know for certain. What we do know is that Florence mourned her extraordinarily. Her body was carried through the city in an open coffin, her face uncovered, an honour reserved for figures of exceptional status, so the whole city could see her one last time. And then 2 years later, something happened that would bind Simonetta and Giuliano together in Florence's memory forever. On the 26th of April, 1478, exactly 2 years to the day after Simonetta died, Giuliano de' Medici was assassinated inside Florence Cathedral during Sunday Mass. It was the Pazzi conspiracy, a plot by a rival family to wipe out the Medici. Giuliano was stabbed 19 times. His brother, Lorenzo, survived. Giuliano was 25. The most admired woman in Florence and the man who had carried her portrait into a tournament were both gone, dead on the same date, 2 years apart. You can see how a city that loved a good story would remember that. Now here is where the facts get slippery. The birth of Venus was painted around 1484 to 1486, roughly 8 to 10 years after Simonetta died. Botticelli painted it for a member of the Medici family. Not Lorenzo the Magnificent himself, but his younger cousin from a different branch of the family, Lorenzo di Pierfrancesco de' Medici. And for centuries, people have looked at this face, and at the faces in La Primavera and in Botticelli's other paintings of beautiful women, and said, that's her, that's Simonetta. He was painting his dead love, again and again from memory. It's a powerful idea, and it runs into two hard problems. The first problem, Botticelli almost never painted from a specific living model in these mythological works. The elongated necks, the sloping shoulders, the flowing hair, those aren't a record of one woman's body. They're Botticelli's style, his signature way of drawing any beautiful figure, stretched and linear and graceful, closer to a Gothic ideal than to a real person. That same look appears on women who are definitely not Simonetta. The second problem is bigger. There is no evidence from Botticelli's own lifetime, no letter, no document, no contemporary account that says the birth of Venus is Simonetta, or that Botticelli was in love with her at all. So where did the love story come from? For almost 400 years after Botticelli's death, he was largely forgotten. His paintings hung in villas and gathered dust. He was a footnote. Then in the 1800s, a group of English writers and critics rediscovered him and fell in love with the idea of him. The most influential was a critic named Walter Pater, and later John Ruskin, one of the most powerful voices in Victorian art. They looked at Botticelli's melancholy, beautiful women, and they wanted a story to match. And the raw material was right there. A real painter who had once painted a real, famous, tragically young beauty on a banner. The Victorians took that thread and wove it into the full romance. The secret love, the lifelong devotion, the face repeated across every canvas. Modern historians have been blunt about this. One called the idea that Simonetta modelled for all of Botticelli's beauties romantic nonsense, arguing it rests on nothing more than the feeling that the most beautiful woman of the age ought to have posed for the most sensitive painter. Another dismissed it as a romantic myth. The major modern study of Botticelli calls The Birth of Venus almost impersonal, a painting with no private love letters hidden in it at all. The love story, in other words, tells us less about Botticelli than about the Victorians who needed him to be a romantic. But there's one piece of the legend that even the skeptics can't fully dismiss. One detail that keeps the story alive. And it's the reason we're still arguing about this 500 years later. Sandro Botticelli died in 1510, around 65 years old. He was buried in the church of Ognissanti in Florence, and so was Simonetta Vespucci 34 years earlier. They really are buried in the same church. That part is true, and you can still visit both today. Here's the honest version though. Ognissanti was the parish church of the Vespucci family, and it was also the parish church of Botticelli's own family. Both of them being buried there needs no romance to explain it. It's simply where both families belonged. The claim that Botticelli begged on his deathbed to be laid at her feet out of secret love. There's no document that records it. It's a tradition, a beautiful one, passed down and repeated so often it hardened into something that sounds like fact. And that's the strange thing about this painting. The romance was assembled piece by piece. A real banner, a real death, a real shared churchyard, a group of Victorians who wanted a love story. Until the myth became more famous than anything we can actually prove. He left no letter, no diary, no confession of what Simonetta was to him, if she was anything at all. He left the paintings, and we filled in the rest. The most famous love story in the history of art may be almost entirely made up. And people have believed it anyway, for over a century, because standing in front of this painting, the story feels truer than the facts. So which is it?